Senator Brown, good afternoon.
Hey, Derryn.
Well, first of all, we should talk, I suppose, about the Christmas Island, the Sri Lankan asylum seekers in the High Court. You'd be pretty pleased about all this.
Yes, because there's a logic to it, which I've been putting forward on behalf of the Greens and more lately Sarah Hanson-Young, that you can't simply cut parts of Australia out of Australian law. And that's what the High Court has essentially found, that people coming to these shores have access to the law. And it's not up to politicians in Canberra to say, oh, well, if you get to this bit of Australia, Christmas Island or wherever it might be, we deny you the law.
Well, just simply, because a lot of people don't understand it, but the system was that if you get to Christmas Island or East Timor, the new idea, which is not going to work and now won't work either, or Nauru, that you wouldn't have access to the same legal rights. But now, my reading of it, the High Court has found that all asylum seekers, whether you come by plane or by boat, whether you arrive at Christmas Island or whether you arrive in Sydney, whether you arrive in Melbourne, you will be treated with the same legal...
Yes, because you're arriving in a country which has one set of laws available to all. And our immigration laws flow from our signature on the bottom of international laws dealing with refugees and immigration and the respecting of the rights of people wherever they might come from. And in the Howard years, we started saying, well, let's cut Australia up. Christmas Island is part of Australia. Its laws come from the Northern Territory and from Canberra. But it was said, oh, well, if you happen to arrive in Christmas Island, it isn't part of Australia. And what the High Court has simply said, hey, come on, Australia is Australia.
But this doesn't mean though that Christmas Island can't still operate. That they can still detain people there. They can still start East Timor, which won't happen, but they could do it there, or Nauru. It just means that they can, when they go through the legal processes of appeals and things like that, they will be treated the same way as anybody else.
It's the same as if you arrive by plane, which more than 50,000 people currently in Australia have done. And then go into hiding and overstay your visa. You're an illegal immigrant, but you don't cause near as much attention as the tenth the number of people who come by boat. And those folk all have access to the law, but they're still illegal and until they can show otherwise.
All right, how would the Greens solve the illegal boat people problem?
By accepting that we have a world that's got a lot of people on the move, and that we have to take our share of them. And that
what's your share?
Well, it's whatever presents itself.
So if 100,000 people turn up tomorrow?
Well, they haven't.
No, but if they did?
They're not going to. But unless, I say this, Derryn, unless we continue to do such things as ignore climate change, which is going to have 150 million people on the move by mid-century, and this is because of sea level rises and the huge temperature. We're now in the hottest year in human history, and there's going to be massive movements of people, and Australia's going to be confronted with that like every other country in the world. And what we have to really think about here is, does this wealthy country do much more to give people an education, health, wealth and well-being in their own country?
All right, now you're regarded, as you get more strength, I mentioned in the introduction, you are getting more strength, you've got the deal now in Canberra, you may take seats in this Victorian State Parliament, and the line that people are saying you're under the radar now, people are looking at you, but they are looking at you, but your attitudes...
And we welcome that.
Yeah, but your attitudes on asylum seekers, your attitudes... You're perceived as a party that's to the left of the Labor Party.
I got asked that today by a journalist who said, well, what's the left-wing Greens talking about preferences they were doing? I said to him, I don't know that party. Go and ask them. We are we don't get labelled very readily.
No, you are going to be, because on issues like Afghanistan, you want to come out of Afghanistan.
Like the majority of Australians?
I'm not so sure that's true.
That is true. That's what the polls are showing, Derryn. Like euthanasia laws, 80% of people. Like ending the destruction of forests, 80% again. Like a whole range of issues where we're actually the mainstream party upholding what the populace thinks, while the old parties languish back in last century and have not caught up.
I'll agree with you on euthanasia. I agree with you on gay marriage.
Same-sex marriage.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But on things like now... On things like business, I mean, you're regarded now, people are scared. You've got to put company tax up to 33%. Isn't it 33? Is that what you want?
Well, it's 30% at the moment.
Yeah, they're bringing it down to 27.5 or 28, whatever.
Yeah, and we supported the super profits tax on the big mining corporations so that you could bring it down twice as far. That is the ordinary company tax on small business. And the big parties say, let's not talk about that too much, because here's the Greens giving small businesses, which employ 5 million people across the country, a bigger tax break and showing how to do it. But the big companies, the opposition says no, we'll get no money from the big multinational mining corporations to help do that. And Labor's gone half-hearted on it. So effectively what's happening there, depending which one you're looking at, a small business will continue to pay 30 cents in the dollar instead of 27 cents in the dollar, which the Greens could have affected.
Don't you, though, still see, well, I'm talking about perceptions now, but don't you see, you are regarded as a left-wing party, and you are regarded as being, radical.
But who by? This is by the Australian or the Herald Sun or what?
No, look at this. I mean, in the last election, sure, the Greens have increased their vote incredibly, but you've still got, it was almost 50-50 between the major parties. They are still hugely, the Labor and Liberal parties still have a huge amount of Australians. Most Australians vote for them, not for you. So you are still regarded now as a spoiler party. Must be.
No, we're regarded as quite the opposite. The party that's giving people some hope in the future. Paul House, the Labor fella, launched his book yesterday and said if I was a young fella, well, he looks young to me, but...
He's only 28.
If I was a young fella, I'd be voting Green. We've got to do something about these Greens. Really? That's muddled thinking. Yes, I'll tell you what to do, Paul. Take on the Greens' policies and displace us. But there's no way Labor will. That's the problem, Derryn. There's no way they're going to tackle climate change or save the forests of East Gippsland and the Central Highlands of Victoria, or bring in the public transport. Because
most major parties have moved to that area where the Libs came back from one side, the Labor went up from the left side, and they're in that big lump in the middle there, and they see you, the major parties see you as a spoiler party.
Well, I agree with you. The major parties are a big lump, and it's time they got a bit of a touch along, and that means along comes an innovative party which appeals to public opinion, because not just because we've got policies, but because we've got records on the board. I was telling the press club at the Windsor Hotel at lunchtime today that when it came to the stimulus package to save Australia from recession, the opposition, for goodness sake, said no. And it was the Greens who stumped up and said, we're not going to allow 500,000 people to be knocked out of the workforce and hundreds of thousands, or tens of thousands at least, of businesses to go to the wall. So we will support this package in return for getting a $60 million dividend for heritage, which has skilled a lot of people in Australia, 40 million for bikeways, and a whole range of other assurances for local government and so on. It was the Greens who took the responsible, hard decision there when the Labor, Liberal and National Party failed. Now, that runs on the board. People appreciate it. They're not parking their vote with us. They're seeing that we are responsible players when the big parties fail to give them an option.
Final point. How comfortable are you with this deal you've got with the minority Labor government? Because you've got Julie Gillard, who said in the election there would be no carbon tax. Now, to you, that would be anathema. You would hate her saying that, and now because she might change. But
well, she said now there will be a carbon tax.
Yes, but how uncomfortable were you when you actually signing up for the deal? Did you know she'd do that?
We spoke to her about coming up with a committee to implement a carbon price. And here we've got, because of the Greens in Australia, the US was moving towards a carbon price, but we had our Prime Minister saying she won't have one. Post-election, we've now got Australia taking a lead, saying we will have a carbon price, but the US is in all sorts of trouble because of the Tea Party. Yeah, and right-wing, head in the sand people who don't see that what the Greens are about is giving security to our grandchildren. It's as simple as that. And the old parties who won't stand up and take the necessary, sensible, responsible action are failing the electorate, and that's why the polls are showing that there will be a record number of people use the power of the Green vote 16 sleeps from now when the state election come along, and what a great injection of ideas that will be into Spring Street.
I'm sure close to the time we'll talk about it again. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Derryn.
Thank you. Leader of the Greens, Senator Bob Brown.